inshallah ta'ala. We started this hadith the other day, and the time cut off on us, so we'll run through it, inshallah ta'ala, and then give you brothers a chance to read, and sisters to ask questions. The hadith is an al-jalis, which we said comes from jalasa yajlisu, which here it has the meaning of sahib or companion, someone you sit with, right? Someone you sit with is your companion, right? قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مثل الجليس الصالح والسوء كحامل المسك والنافخ الكير. He said مثل, which is the example, al-jalis, of the companion, the example of the companion, as-salih, the righteous companion, was-saw, and the evil, meaning, and the evil companion. Kahamil al-misk, kahamil al-misk. Here we see the cat that we talked about yesterday being from the huruf al-jar, which make the word following it majroor. Kahamil al-misk, like the one who carries perfume, wa nafikh al-kir, and the one who blows on the, like we said, that fan thing that blacksmiths use or people use to keep their fire going, right? Kahamil al-misk wa nafikh al-kir, the carrier of perfume and the blower of that fan. Fahamil al-misk, so the carrier of perfume, imma an yuhdiyaka, imma, we said, means either, and it will be used either or. The first one you would use is either, and the second one or, right? Imma an yuhdiyaka, either it is that yuhdiyaka, we said this comes from ha, wow, but if you look in the Hans Word Dictionary, you're not going to find it with this meaning. But he says down here in the footnote, yu'tiyaka, meaning to give. Imma and yuhdiyaka, either he will give you, wa imma and tabta'a minhu, or you will buy from him. Tabta' minhu, you will buy from him, from the verb ba'a, which means to sell. But this form here means to buy. Tabta' minhu, or you will buy from him. Wa imma an tajida minhu rihan tayyibah, or you will find from wajada yajidu, tajida, you will find minhu, from him, rihan tayyibah, a good smell, right, from ruh. And we covered all of this before. I'm just covering through it fast. If you want to do it, you know more, you can go to the previous class, but I'm covering it kind of quickly because we've already kind of been through it. وَنَافِخُ الْكِيرِ, the blower of the fan that goes on the, that they start that fire with, or keep the fire going with. Imma an yuhrika thiyabak, either is that he will burn, from haraka yahriku, he will burn thiyabak, your clothes. Thiyab is the plural of thob, right? Thiyabak, either he will burn your clothes. Wa imma an tajida rihan khabitha, or you will find a horrible smell. Or you will find a horrible smell. So this is the companion. This is the example of the righteous companion. Al-Jalis al-Salih was so. Is there any questions about this hadith? This hadith was in Bukhari and Muslim, although I only found it in Bukhari. I should have looked maybe harder, but it's 2101 in Bukhari. And all of my numbers are from Dar es-Salaam, right? From Abu Musa. al-Ash'ari. Yarhamukallah. Any questions?
Okay, this translation of this and I know it could be that or a bunch of other words, but it's not clear to me because it's not being said.
Which word?
And like it's kind of being skipped over.
Imma an yuhdika. Either it's that he will give you, wa imma an tabta, or that you will buy from him, wa imma an taja, or that you will find from him. Imma an. Either that.
Okay.
But you may not say it in English, but I mean, if you could say it in English.
Yeah, I got you.
Any other questions? Assalamu alaikum, Zubair.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Go ahead and read for us, inshallah.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مثل الجالس الصالح والسوء كحامل المسك ونافخ الكير وحامل المسك إما أن يحذيك وإما أن تبتاع منه وإما أن تجد منه ريحا طيبة ونافخ الكير إما أن يحرك ثيابك وإما أن تجد ريحا خبيثة.
نعم يا أبو طاهر.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مثل الجليس الصالح والسوء كحامل المسك ونافخ القير فحامل المسك إما أن يهذيك وإما أن تبتاع منه وإما أن تجد منه ريحا طيبة ونافخ القير إما أن يحرق ثيابك وإما أن تجد ريحا خبيثة.
عبد الله.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم مثل الجليس الصالح والسوء كحامل المسك ونافخ الكير فحامل المسك إما أن يهذيك وإما أن تبتاع منه
تبتاع
منه وإما أن تجد منه ريحا طيبة ونافخ الكير إما أن يحرق ثيابك وإما أن تجد ريحا خبيثة.
نعم. الله يبارك فيكم. The next hadith تحريم احتقار المسلم. Tahrim from harama meaning prohibition, right? From haram, tahrim, prohibition. Ihtiqar from haqara meaning to disdain or to have scorn for or to look down upon a Muslim, right? That the prohibition of looking down on or having disdain for a Muslim. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بحسب امرئ من الشر أن يحقر أخاه المسلم بحسب امرئ من الشر أن يحقر أخاه المسلم. بحسب here from hasaba meaning to take into account. It could be to count, to take into account. It can also be to suffice, right? And this is what it means here, to suffice. بحسب امرئ. Imr, here is a man. How I say mar'a, right? Mar'a. بحسب امرئ. Just like mar'a becomes imra'a, mar'un, or male can become imri, right? That's one of those funny words, as we said, the plural was nisa, right? And the plural of mar'u, plural of this is nisa, right? Imra'a. The plural of mar'u is qawm, right? Imri'in, here is a man. It is sufficient for a man. It is sufficient for a person. Min ash-shar, of evil, or from evil. It's sufficient evil for a man. And yahqira, that he looks down on, that he disdains, that he has scorn for. Akhahu. The akhahu is the maf'ulun bihi, mansoob with an alif, not a fatha, mansoob with an alif. And yahqira, that he looks disdains akhahu, his brother, al-Muslim, his Muslim brother, right? That he looks down on, that he disdains his Muslim brother. بحسب امرئ من الشر and yahqira akhahu al-Muslim, that he looks down on, that he disdains his Muslim brother. Here in the footnote number 1 it says yakfi al-mar'a min sifat al-shar. It suffices him from having this of evil attributes, that he looks down upon his brother. This is sufficient evil for a man, that he looks down upon his brother. Basically, it's a whole lot of evil, right? You don't need any more than that. It's sufficient enough evil. That's too much, right? It's enough to call a person evil, right? You would reach the level of being able to be called evil if you have disdain and discord for your disdain and scorn for your Muslim brother. بِحَسْبِ امْرِئٍ مِنَ الشَّرِّ. It's sufficient evil for a man, or sufficient to consider a man evil, basically. And يَحْقِرَ أَخَاهُ الْمُسْلِمِ, that he looks down upon his Muslim brother. This hadith is in Muslim, number 6541, from Abu Hurairah. Any questions? Go ahead and read for us, Abdullah.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بحسب امرئ من الشر أن يحقر أخاه المسلم.
نعم يلا أبا طاهر.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بحسب امرئ من الشر أن يحقر أخاه المسلم.
نعم يلا زبير.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم بحسب امرئ من الشر أن يحقر أخاه المسلم.
نعم. This next hadith, At-Tanaji, coming from Noon, Jim, Wow, which could be success, like Najah, or it could be something like that. But here, when it gets into this form 6, it is dealing with whispers. Whispers. Allah talks about it in the Quran, in Surah Al-Mujadila, and other than that, when He talks about having secret meetings, that there is no benefit in your secret meetings, right? This is the word used, right? Also, you find statements of the Salaf where they talk about being in Salat, being a najwa with you and Allah, right? A secret gathering between you and Allah in the middle of the night, making dua like this. So this najwa, which is a private gathering, najwa, a private gathering, this is what we're talking about here. Whispering. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا كنتم ثلاثة فلا يتناجى اثنان دون صاحبهما فإن ذلك يحزنه. إذا كنتم ثلاثة, if or when, we said إذا could be either one, if or when. Wa alaikum salam, no problem. To the chat. إذا كنتم ثلاثة, if you were three. If you were three. إذا كنتم ثلاثة, if you were three, or when you were three. Kuntum, meaning, we say all the time. Somebody's headphone fell out or something. There we go. Kana, he was or he would. Kuntum, this tum is you guys, plural. Idha kuntum thalatha, if you guys are three. If you were three, if you are three, or when you are three. فَلَا يَتَنَاجَى إِثْنَانِ, then don't whisper two of them. دُونَ صَاحِبِهِمَا, without their companion, without their two companion. Duna, without. Duna here is without. Many times it means other than, or it will mean less than. Here it means without. Duna sahibihima, without their companion. فَلَا يَتَنَاجَى إِثْنَانِ, then don't two whisper duna sahibihima, without their companion. فَإِنَّ ذَلِكَ يُحْزِنُ, for verily that, ذَلِكَ, that, يُحْزِنُهُ, that makes him sad. That makes him sad. From hazan, right? From huzn, the noun huzn for sadness, right? Huzn, yuhzinu, that makes him sad. That makes him sad. Meaning, three people are together and two people start whispering. Third one's going to think, what are they talking about? Is my hair messed up? I got something in my teeth? What's going on? Right? So, don't do it. Some of the scholars, they even talk about if there are some three people and they two speak another language. This is similar to that in the fact that he can't understand them, right? So, إِذَا كُنْتُمْ ثَلَاثَ, when or if you are three, فَلَا يَتَنَاجَى إِثْنَانِ, then two of you should not whisper دُونَ صَاحِبِهِمَا, without their companion. فَإِنَّ ذَلِكَ يُحْزِنُ, for verily that makes him sad. This hadith is in Muslim, number 5697, from Abdullah. And as we said, when Muslim Says Abdullah, he means Ibn Mas'ud. Any questions? Now, what if there's four? That's my question. What if there's four? Can two people whisper?
I believe so. Because the other two can talk to themselves.
Exactly. You haven't left him out. You haven't excluded anyone. He himself can have his own conversation. No problem. Go ahead, Abu Tahir, read for us, inshallah.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا كنتم ثلاثة فلا يتناجى اثنان دون صاحبهما فإن ذلك يحزنه يحزنه
نعم يلا زبير.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا كنتم ثلاثة فلا يتناجى اثنان دون صاحبهما فإن ذلك يحزنه.
يلا عبد الله.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا كنتم ثلاثة فلا يتناجى اثنان دون صاحبهما فإن ذلك يحزنه.
No. This next hadith, تحريم المعازف. تحريم المعازف. The prohibition or the forbiddance of ma'azif. Ma'azif from Ain, Za, Fa. Here it means musical instruments. Musical instruments. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ليكونن من أمتي أقوام يستحلون الحر والحرير والخمر والمعازف. يكونن, la is a lam of emphasis, and there's noon and mushaddada at the end is called noon at-tawkid. This is lam at-tawkid and this is noon at-tawkid. Noon at-tawkid, tawkid means emphasis, basically, right? So this appears at the end. It can be mushaddada or ghayr mushaddada, with or without the shadda. And of course with the shadda means more emphasis than without it. But here it's mushaddada. So it's telling you with great emphasis that this is going to happen. لِيَكُنَنَّ مِنْ أُمَّتِي, there will be, from yakun, to be. Basically, there will be, it's going to come. Min ummati, from my ummah. Aqwamun, the plural of qawm. The plural of qawm, a people. A group of people, a bunch of people. Yastahilluna. Yastahilluna, we said that this seen in this ta is to seek something. The seen in the ta is usually meaning to seek something. Yastahilluna from halla, meaning to seek, to make halal. Halla, halla, halal, right? Yastahilluna, they're going to seek to make halal. Al-hir, which is a-zina. A-zina. Fornication. Al-hir. Wal-harir, and silk, meaning for men. Wal-harir, silk for men. Wal-khamar, for everyone, right? Alcohol or intoxicants. Wal-ma'azif, and musical instruments. لِيَكُنَنَّ مِنْ أُمَّتِي أَقْوَامٌ. There's going to come from my ummah people, groups of people, يَسْتَحِلُّونَ, seeking to make halal, al-hir wal-harir, fornication and silk, يعني للرجال, for men, wal-khamar, and intoxicants, wal-ma'azif, and musical instruments. This hadith is in Bukhari, number 5390, from Abu Amir al-Ashari. Abu Amir al-Ashari. Are there any questions about this hadith? Go ahead. Okay. Repeat the hadith, the translation, or what? Yes, I said two things. Tahrim al-ma'azif, the prohibition of musical instruments. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, لَيَكُنَنَّ. Here, this word, the lam and the noon, the tawqid, al-mushaddada at the end is emphasis. There's going to be, for sure, with emphasis, min ummati, aqwamun, people, the plural of qawm, aqwamun, people, groups of people, min ummati, from my ummah, from my nation, yastahilluna, that seek to make halal, from halla, halal, yastahilluna, they're going to seek to make halal, al-hir, which we see in the footnote here means az-zina, the fornication and adultery, wal-harir, and the wearing of silk, yani for men, wal-khamar, and intoxicants of all kinds, not just alcohol made from grapes or something, as the early Ahnaf might have said, but all types of intoxicants, wal-ma'azif, and musical instruments. There's going to seek to be, there will be a people from my ummah who seek to make silk and fornication, and intoxicants, and musical instruments halal. Clear now? Okay. Abdullah, اقرأ لنا.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ويكونن من أمتي أقوام يستحلون الهرة, no, if I say that right, الهرة والحرير والخمر والمآزف.
Abu Tahir.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ليكونن من أمتي أقوام يستحلون الهرى والحرير والقمر والمعازف.
يا زبير.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ليكونن من أمتي أقوام يستحلون الحر والحرير والخمر والمعازف.
يا شيخ ياسين اقرأ لنا.
ليكونن من أمتي أقوام والمعازف.
Inshallah ta'ala. This next section is on al-lisan. Al-lisan, the tongue. Al-lisan, the tongue. First hadith is in kalam, or speech. Al-kalam, speech. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر. Whoever believed, whoever used to, or whoever, that's what it would basically be, whoever used to believe, but we're not going to translate it like that. من كان يؤمن بالله. Whoever believes in Allah, yu'min, from amana yu'minu, whoever believes in Allah, wal yawmil akhir, in the last day. And here we have our ba, being, or showing us that the noun following it is majroor, even until al-yawm is majroor because of it. Right? Believes in Allah and bil yawmil akhir, and in the last day. Al-yawm al-akhir. فَلْيَقُولْ. Fa is so. The lam here is a lam of amr, the lam of command. So we usually translate as let. Right? Yaqul. Yaqulu. But because of the command here, and it becoming it normally would be a dhamma, but because of it being a command, it's a sukoon. You can't have a sukoon over the waw and the lam, so you drop the waw because it's a weak letter. So you say فَلْيَقُولْ. Then let him say khayran. Let him say what? Khayr. The object of his saying is khayra. Mansoob. With a fatha. Maf'ulun bihi. فَلْيَقُولْ خَيْرًا. Let him say good. Oh, or, again this lam is a lam of command, lam of amr. Then let him yasmut. Let him be quiet. From samata, meaning to be quiet. فَلْيَقُولْ خَيْرًا أَوْ لِيَصْمُتْ. Then let him speak good. Let him speak good, or let him be quiet. Right? It's a command. Let him speak good or be quiet. Man yu'min, man kana yu'min billahi. And if a person said, man yu'minu billahi, no problem. Meaning would be there. Why is the kana there? I can't explain it. That's just how the Arabs talk. They put stuff in the past tense, I guess to show the, I'm not sure really why. But that's what they do. But if I was to do that in another sentence and say, kana yajlisu, for instance, it would mean he was sitting. He was sitting. But it doesn't mean whoever used to believe in Allah in the last day, but rather they already believe in Allah in the last day. Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir. Whoever believes in Allah in the last day, فَلْيَقُلْ خَيْرًا أَوْ لِيَصْمُتْ. Then let him speak good or let him be quiet. This hadith is in Muslim, number 5697, right, from Abdullah. Abdullah, when Muslim is quiet, it means who? Ibn Mas'ud. Any questions about that hadith? قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من يضمن لي ما بين لحييه وما بين رجليه أضمن له الجنة. Now, here's a perfect example of what we spoke about in Nahu Wadi a couple weeks ago when we talked about something having a shart or a condition without the word in being present. Without the word in, as in if, right? So here we have men yadman. This man, whoever, men yadman, from damana, meaning to guarantee. It should be yadmanu, because it's a present tense verb. But here, it's in a conditional sentence. So, two verbs are going to be made majzoom. Two of them are going to be made majzoom. This is the first one. We'll get to the second one, inshallah. Whenever you have this conditional sentence, two verbs are going to be majzoom. Men yadman li. Whoever guarantees li, for me. Ma bayna, what is between lahyayhi. We said this is from lahya, and this is the word that the word lihya comes from. And we said that the word lihya comes because it's on the cheekbones. Right? It's on the cheekbones. That doesn't mean that we use the Arabic language to say that we can shave what's not on the cheekbones, meaning underneath the chin or on the neck or up on the cheeks. No. Because we don't use the Arabic language to discover our Sharia or to discuss and explain our Sharia. But that doesn't mean that it's not a connection there. So lahyay is his two cheekbones, or his two cheeks. Lahyayhi, lahyayhi, his two lahyayhi, his two cheekbones. Right? Man yadman li ma bayna lahyayhi. Whoever guarantees for me what's between his two cheeks. Wa ma bayna rijlayhi, and what's between rijlayhi. Rijl, like the word rajul. But a rijl is this thing, the leg. The leg. Rijlayhi, his two legs. His two legs. Ma bayna rijlayhi, his two legs. Rijlan, lahyan. But, okay, we have lahyan, because it's two. We have rijlan, because it's two. Now, it's after the word bayna, which causes it to become majroor. So we say lihyayni and rijlayni. Right? Rijlayni. Like that. There should be one here. I'm sorry. Rijlayni. Okay? This ya, it becomes majroor with a ya, not with a kasra, because it is dual. We discussed that yesterday, right? Rijlayni. Then when you make it mudaf ilayhi, and you add the hu for the damir, the pronoun hu for his, or if it's any other mudaf ilayhi construction, we drop our noons always. So we say lahyayhi, rijlayhi, and we drop our noon. That's just what happens because of the idafa construction. We drop our noon. Otherwise, it would be lahyayni or rijlayni. But because of the pronoun being added here and it becoming mudaf ilayh, we drop our noon. So lahyayhi wa ma bayna rijlayhi. Adman, admanu. It should be admanu. But because this is shartiyya, as we said, this is conditional, and it's going to be two of them. Men yadman li, adman lahu. I guarantee for him al-jannah. Men yadman li, whoever guarantees for me, that's a condition. Adman lahu, that's the answer to the condition. I guarantee for him al-jannah. This hadith is in Bukhari 6474 from Sahal ibn Sa'd. Any questions?
What is that second one? Atman, how come it's carrying Sukoon?
Because both of them should be Yadmanu wa Admanu.
Yeah.
But when it's conditional, it's going to be conditional for two. Two is going to make two verbs. The condition is going to make two verbs medzum. Both of them have sukoon. So for instance, if you come to Kuwait, I will host you. So there's two verbs. If you come, I will host. Both of them are going to be medzum. فَمَنْ يَضْمَنْ لِي, whoever guarantees for me, أَضْمَنْ لَهُ. When you have that conditional, then two verbs are going to be medzum. The one that is the condition and the second one is the answer to the condition. Both of them are going to be medzum. Any other questions? If it's conditional, then it will always be two verbs, unless one of them is implied. For instance, if someone were to say something and not give the answer, if they were to make the first condition but not give the answer to that condition, as an example, or the answer to that condition would be understood. So for instance, can you guarantee me Jannah? Naam, in tadman li ma bayna lihyay. In tadman li, if you were to guarantee for me what is between your two, ma bayna lihyayk, or ma bayna rijlayk. And then I stopped, and I wouldn't have to say this one because you already asked me the first one. So you might have it where it's implied, but other than that, if it's conditional, then it's always going to happen. But one of them might be implied, and it might not be spoken or written. Yalla ya Muharram, you ready to read for us?
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من يضمن لي ما بين لحييه وما بين رجليه أضمن له الجنة.
Okay, Yasin, read both of them for us.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل أو ليصمت. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من يضمن لي ما بين لحييه وما بين رجليه أضمن له الجنة.
You want to read the first one, Muharram, before I go on?
Sure. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقول خيرا أو ليصمت.
يلا يا زبير.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من يضمن لي ما بين لحييه وما بين رجليه أضمن له الجنة.
نعم يلا أبا طاهر.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من يضمن لي ما بين لحييه وما بين رجليه أضمن له الجنة.
نعم يلا عبد الله.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم من يأمن لي ما بين لحييه وما بين رجليه أتمن له الجنة.
نعم. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, and we had this hadith inside of our 100 hadith class that we did, right? إن العبد ليتكلم بالكلمة ما يتبين فيها يزل بها في النار أبعد مما بين المشرق والمغرب. This hadith, if we remember, is from Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. He said, Innal abda, verily the slave, indeed the slave or the servant. And it's mansoob after inna, becomes ismu inna, mansoob. Innal abda la yatakallamu. This lam is a lam of emphasis, lam al-tawkeed. La yatakallamu. He's going to speak. Bil kalima, with a word. Ma yatabayyanu fiha. Ma yatabayyanu fiha. Yatabayyanu from bayyana. Bayyana, bayyin or bayyan, and all of that. Tibyan means clarity. But here, what it means is he doesn't think about it. Ma yatabayyanu fiha. He does, but if you think about the word in its origin, then it makes sense. Like he's not clear about it. He's not sure of its consequences. Maybe he knows what he's saying. He knows exactly what he's saying. He saw what he saw. He heard what he heard, 100%. But he's not thinking about the consequences of him repeating it right now. So he's not clear on the whole matter. Ma yatabayyanu fiha. It says in the footnote here, ma yatathabbatu fiha. Here it says he doesn't verify it, but it's not really for verification here. It means he's not sure about who he's saying it to or what the consequences of it is. Ma yatabayyanu fiha. He doesn't, give me 1 second. I had a good word for it before, and I forgot it now. Where is that? Anyway, that's what I can see. He doesn't scrutinize it. There you go. He doesn't scrutinize it. Right? He doesn't scrutinize the word he's saying. Meaning he doesn't verify it maybe at the same time. Even if he verifies it, he doesn't scrutinize, is this the right place to say it or not? So he just goes around talking everything. And we know في كل مقام مقام وفي كل مقام مقام. In every place there's a statement, and for every statement there's a place. Like this. Not everything is not for everybody. Yazillu, and in one of the narrations it says yanzilu. So it has the noon there, meaning to go down. To go down, inshallah ta'ala. Yanzilu, yazillu, yanzilu biha finnar. I will, inshallah. I'll give an example, inshallah. Yanzilu biha finnar. He goes down because of it into the fire. Ab'ada, from ba'id, mean far. Ab'ada meaning farther. This is ismu tafdhil, meaning the superlative form. Ab'ada, mimma, from what? Bain al-mashriqi wal-maghrib. What is between the east and the west. And it's funny that this hadith when it's translated in Bukhari, and I didn't look in Muslim what the translation was, but in Bukhari we looked before, and it says, he will be thrown into the fire because of it, yazilu biha, because of it, finnar, in the fire, ab'ada, because of it, into the fire, ab'ada mimma bayna al-mashriq wal-maghrib, says because be thrown because of it, the distance between the east and the west. But the hadith clearly says ab'ada, farther than the east and the west. And it's not that big of a deal, but you know, farther than the east and the west, and the distance in the east and the west is there's a difference there. This is the Muslim. Bukhari's wording is a little bit different inside of here, but the meaning is still there. An example would be for someone to, for instance, he says a word and he don't think much of it. A person, it could be easy, and we'll find later on in this chapter where Aisha said stuff and she didn't think much of it, right? Aisha spoke about one of the women and just made a small hand gesture. She didn't think it was any big deal. The Prophet ﷺ said, you said a word that if it could spoil if it were to enter into the oceans, it would spoil all the oceans, all the waters. You didn't think much of that word. You say, oh man, that short dude. Oh, that lazy dude. You don't think as much. I call him lazy. I didn't call him, stupid. I didn't call him a deviant or nothing. You just called him lazy. No, you didn't think about that word. You didn't think about it. You know, just something similar to that. Or it could be something that every place has a speech. So for instance, if two students of a sheikh come together and they say, hey man, the sheikh made a mistake earlier, you got to talk to him because when he read that hadith, he said such and such. And that's not right, man. I know, I read Ibn Hajar, I read Nawawi, I read Fulan and Fulan. All of them said whoever says that is incorrect. And they get together amongst themselves and they say it in order to come to a way to how to approach the teacher. That's one thing. If they get together and they go home and say, yeah, man, the sheikh said this, and they say it instead of their mother, in front of their mother and their father, and in front of people who is not appropriate for them to hear, they say, see, I knew that sheikh wasn't like that. I knew that, they put all this emphasis on sheikhs, and, you got to think about what you're saying, because you may cause people to go away from a person, you may cause them to go away from the religion, you may cause them to go away from many things. So, إن العبد ليتكلم بالكلمة ما يتبين فيها. Verily a servant will say a word and he doesn't examine it. Either examine its truthfulness, examine its weight in the sitting to being said. يزل بها, he will go down because of it. في النار, in the fire. أبعد مما بين المشرق والمغرب, farther than what's between the east and the west. Any questions?
مما means then.
Huh?
Mimma means then. Farther than.
Farther than, well, ab'ada, when you have, for instance, min normally we would say means from. But with all of the huruf al-jar, they get their meaning from the surrounding syntax, right? None of them have one particular meaning. They can have different meanings based on their syntax. But whenever you put a superlative form, ab'adu or ab'ada, here, ab'ada min. If we say akbaru min or ahsanu min. Hasan means good. Ahsan means better. Min, better than. Akbar means big. Akbaru mean or biggest, right? Akbaru min means bigger than. You could say bigger, for instance, Abdullah akbar min Mustafa. Abdullah is bigger from Mustafa, but from doesn't make sense in English. So bigger than. And then mimma is what? From what? Or bigger than what? Because of this is going to become, the min is going to become than, because of the superlative ismu tafdeel in front of it. You understand?
Yeah. Jazakallah khair.
وإياكم. يلا عبد الله.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن الأب يتكلم بالكلمة ما يتبين فيها يزل بها في النار أبعد مما بين المشرق والمغرب.
يلا يا طاهر.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن العبد لا يتكلم كلمات ما يتبين فيها يزل بها في النار أبعد مما بين المشرق والمغرب.
نعم يلا زبير.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن العبد ليتكلم بالكلمة ما يتبين فيها يزل بها في النار أبعد مما بين المشرق والمغرب.
نعم يا ياسين.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن العبد ليتكلم بالكلمات ما يتبين فيها يزل بها في النار أبعد مما بين المشرق والمغرب.
يا محرم.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن العبد. Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن العبد ليتكلم بالكلمة ما يتبين فيها يزل بها في النار أبعد مما بين المشرق والمغرب.
Now, as we said before we go, inshallah, we conclude, we say yanzil in some of the narrations, meaning to go down, right? Or to descend. The zalla, right? Zalla yazillu means to slip. So he will slip because of it into the fire. He will slip, meaning he's not paying attention. He's not clarifying. He's not scrutinized what he's saying, so he slips. And then we have from that zalatul lisan, which is, it should be up here, zalatul lisan, which is a slip of the tongue. Slip of the tongue, zalatul lisan. This is the famous, for instance, if I wanted to say, akhi, what are you doing, man? That's haram. Or if I want to say, what are you doing, akhi? That's halal. And I meant to say haram, that's zalatul lisan, right? A slip of the tongue. Jazakumullah khairan. There's no other questions. We'll close and meet tomorrow for some more warning narrations about the tongue and speech, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.